The 5K, I'll tell you in 13 minutes. Bia Simbasa, and then Sydney Gitabude for Tin Man Elite. So a stacked field, a good size, but nothing crazy. And they're immediately out, and Kieran is taking the top.
And you can see the Red Lightning Express here, the Bowerman Track Club pace train. They've honed their pace train so well in this 2020, crazy 2020 year. But yeah, you can see the red up front there, but an interesting story developing. The On Athletics Club there in the black, they look to steal the thunder from the Red Lightning Express tonight.
And they're out in 30 mid, which is perfect. You know, you want to get the race started nice and early and allow everyone to find their spot on the rail so you're not bunched up running extra distance in the outside of lane 2. And for the most part, they've all fallen into place, and they look good, and they look ready to go and just ride this train all the way through 4K, and then we're going to race.
Just ride it to glory. And you see the two pacers up front, Kieran Tuntavate, who ran 27:17, as you said. He set 3 PRs in that race. He set a PR in the 5K, his first 5K, then the second 5K was faster, and then he set a PR in the 10K. And then Woody Kincaid in second here. He's the second rabbit. He ran 27:12 in that race, but most famous for being the king monster of the forest, running 12:58 in 2019.
And Marc Scott is the first actual racer in the field on them, and he came through in 62 low. So they are on pace, and Marc Scott, interesting because he doesn't need this race. You know, he has the time. He ran 13:08 a year ago at Boston University before things got shut down, and so he has the standard. But you know, I was sitting poolside with him actually earlier today after a little run I did, and I was asking him, you know, like, why are you racing? And essentially the answer is when you're hot, and he's going to take advantage of this fitness right now.
Retirement's been good to you, Kyle. You just sit by the pool a lot,
I was sipping margaritas by the pool, asking all the athletes about their races. But so behind him, you see Ollie Hoare from the On Athletic Club, and, you know, he's a guy who does have some experience in the 5K. You know, I think we've always looked at him as more of a middle distance runner. He is a former NCAA champ at the distance in college while at Wisconsin, but he has a 13:28 personal best, and I understand is just a little bit faster than Joe Klecker, who I think many would probably highlight as the strength man in the group.
That's something that came as a surprise to me. Both ran 13:28.
As they come through 1K in about 2:35, so
under prescribed time.
Yeah, under the Olympic standard pace, but pretty much perfect for 13 flat.
And it looks like they're clicking off 72s like clockwork here, 72 highs.
And the big man behind Ollie is definitely one to watch. That is Sean McGorty, the Bowerman Track Club athlete, formerly of Stanford. I've been told that he's the go-to guy right now in Bowerman. When there's a big rep on deck, he's the one who they push to the front and make the lead, and he's never scared to take the lead. But the word on the street is that they closed off a big workout in 4:04 just recently, and that was all Sean's doing.
That was all Sean's doing. I saw that, and I was wondering who made this happen. But yeah, it's good to hear that was big Sean McGorty who did that. And the man rabbited the 10 2 weeks ago and came through 8K in just under 22 minutes at the front. So he's the guy to go to when you need to take some big swings. But behind him we have his college teammate, Grant Fisher. Fun fact about Grant Fisher is, you know, in addition to being a 3:36 guy at 1,500 meters, 7:37 over 3K, he's run 13:11 and 27:11. His mile PR is still 3:59 from high school. Wow.
And so I guess that's an indicator of just how talented he is, how good he is for a very, very long time. And if you like Grant Fisher, I told him I'd give this shout out, but he just came out with a new podcast called The Half Step Pod. He's doing it with a former teammate of his, Connor Lane, and a really good listen behind the scenes action of what it's like to be a professional runner.
So like you said, so they slowed, the last lap through there was a 64-second lap. So they're off the 62s right now, but maybe they'll get back on this time around.
About 4:12 through the mile, so still 63s.
And then we have, but like you said before, big Sean McGorty and Grant Fisher, they ran 13:11 last year, which didn't count towards the standards. But looking at the way they did that, they closed very quickly. and they closed in about 4:02 for the mile and 1:56 for the last 800 in that race. And talking to Jerry Schumacher afterwards, he said that he thought if they got out a little faster, they could be in 13:05 range.
Yeah, and that points to their ability to close in actual races. I think, because of the pandemic, we've seen Bowerman do many time trials. And a great thing about what we're seeing right now is that with the on guys in here and Bias and Bassa, they have to race tonight. And that closing speed is going to be necessary when we look to some of the bigger races later in the season, especially when the guys from the U.S. Army step onto the scene. You just saw Emmanuel Bohr run 13:05. Paul Chalimo's always running well. And so if they're going to want to make this team, you're going to have to close.
I mean, it's not a familiar thing for them to see when they see the Aussie Ollie Hoare up there mixing it up in their front pack, and then Joe Klecker right on their heels, too. So there are some dangerous men with the Bowerman Track Club here in this front pack. And then it's good to see Sydney Gadabade, too, of the Tin Man Elite up there.
Yeah, so, Sydney, his personal best is 13:29. It's a few years old, but not too long ago in the LA area, December 2020, he ran a personal best of 28:15 for 10K, and he actually ran 13:37 last weekend down in Austin. Very, very humid. This is much better conditions and probably a much better opportunity because that race was won in 13:36, so he was in it very much so. And so, this is a great opportunity for the Tin Man athlete to get out here and show what he can do in a star-studded field. And, he was, went to high school in Orange, California. This is local, although he was raised in Tanzania and his family is from there. So, kind of a little local hometown.
We got the hometown flavor here.
Yeah, plenty of good athletes come out of California.
Oh, yeah. I'm not one of them, but I'm from here.
And so that last lap was another 63. And so they are on it. As we kind of said, Kieran has stepped off, and now 12:58 man, Woody Kincaid at the helm.
Wild Woody Kincaid up there in the front, and he's leading Mad Mark Scott. Mad Mark Scott, he's a gentleman off the track, a very polite man from Yorkshire, England. But when he gets on the track and you see that look in his eye, it just looks like he wants to fight you. And he's ready to throw down.
Mark has unbelievable range from 335, 1,500 meters to a 60 flat half in Antrim last year. And he has proven that since graduating from Tulsa with an NCAA title to his name, that he can do it all, and he can do it every way possible. He closes very, very hard. He's not scared to take the lead. And, he's running with a sense of urgency tonight. Again, there's no reason for him to be the one to push the pace, but he wants that sub 13. And
that's 7:54 through 3,000 meters, and that was a 62-second lap there.
So they're starting to wind it up just a little bit. I think that we've seen this in the past, especially from the Bowerman group, that the most efficient way to run a really fast 5K is with a nice negative split. And you close in 56, and all of a sudden you make up a lot of seconds. And I think that Mark is just going to try to keep that in range in which you're balancing yourself on that threshold between not having too much left, but finding yourself in a position where you're still hurting.
And we know that 7:48 is 13 flat pace through 3,000 meters, so they're 6 seconds off at the moment, but Mark Scott has been known to close in a fury here.
Yeah, and so, he is the British record holder for a road 5K and the European champion European record holder for the indoor 5K. He's unfortunately wasn't able to travel over to Poland to compete in the European Indoor Championships, but he does have an unbelievable opportunity tonight to prove himself.
And we see they're the Bowerman men up there. You have the Aussie Ollie Hoare and Mighty Joe Klecker up there too, and then behind them is Karubela Arasa and Bia Simbasa as well, hanging onto that front pack. And it looks like Woody is getting some distance here, even though I think he's the pacer.
Yeah, Woody is definitely the pacer, but, we know that he can go the whole way. Just a bit about Kirabel, he has a personal best of 13:17 and 27:32. The Hoka athlete's actually been training in Ethiopia and, was planning on coming back to the States a little bit earlier, but when the pandemic struck, he stayed down there and was able to be with his family. And, I think that he's really shown that he thrives in that environment.
And these boys look like they're laboring up front here, pushing, and Woody's pushing the pace. And the pack is bunching a little bit. It's the On guys, and then you have the Bowerman guys up there too.
And this gives Bias Mbasa the opportunity to reattach. He's coming off personal best in both the 1500 and the 3K. He's been training up in Flagstaff with Stephen Haas and his group. And, you know, he's been one of Ed Cheserek's main training partners the last year or two. And you know that he's been putting in some wild workouts and, you know, running fast behind the Bowerman squad is something that's not too foreign from him.
Bias Mbasa, a good result for him at the Texas qualifier. He was third in 13:27.
And now we see Woody Kincaid step off the track about 4K in, and it's up to Marc Scott. I will not be surprised here if he gets some help from either Grant Fisher or Sean McGorty.
Joe Klecker moving up on the outside of his teammate Ollie Hoare. And it's a pack of 5 separating themselves, but Kirubel Arasa, too, trying to reel back himself and Bias Mbasa.
It's a slow pass from Sean McGorty on the straightaway as he takes it with 800 meters to go.
He's the man they go to for the big swings, Big Sean McGorty. They're going to need some help from the big man here.
And they were just a hair over 11 flat with 800 meters to go. So I believe that Marc Scott closed that 10K in about 157, 158. So he's proven himself capable.
And it's a pack of 4. It seems like the Aussie Ollie Hoare has dropped back slightly, and Mighty Joe Klecker's still hanging on there.
Joe Klecker with, I would say, I would describe him almost as superhero-like proportions. He is a strong man training out of Boulder. He runs plenty of 100-plus miles a week, very, very fast, and he's comes from a long line of successful runners. Both of his parents were quite successful themselves, and I would say he's a guy that we've seen for a long time that we knew would be a good pro, and he's showing it right now with 500 meters left.
Barrel-chested and cut from a similar cloth to Ben True, I would say.
As they approach the bell, you see Grant Fisher come to the lead, and they're going to have to work hard here to get under, but they're about 12:07. But we have a race on our hands.
We have a race, and Grant Fisher has had some close second-place finishes here, and now he leads into this last lap. And Marc Scott is moving, too. The two of them have separated each other, and Joe Klecker goes around Big Sean McGorty there.
Joe Klecker has proven himself to be a closer, but Grant Fisher and Marc Scott, similar to as what we saw just a couple of weeks ago in that 10K, have broken away from the field. Grant is not going to wait until the final 100 meters. He's moving early.
Grant seems to have learned something over these last couple of races, and he's trying to implement it now, and we'll see what happens with 150 meters to go. Marc Scott looks labored right now, but Grant Fisher looks very good entering the home stretch. The bricks on his left. He wants a result here in the Brickyard this evening. He's serving it up hot for the people in Portland coming in here to the finish line, and it's a 13:02.
A huge personal best breakthrough for him. Marc Scott with a personal best. Sean McGorty, Joe Klecker not far behind as the rest of the field trickles in. Bias Mbasa looks like he's going to be able to nab one himself.
It's a great night here in the Brickyard, ladies and gentlemen.
We see Sydney and Robert Brandt closing out as well. Hopefully those guys snuck under, but Grant Fisher tonight, 13:02.5. Marc Scott, 13:05. McGorty, 13:06. Joe Klecker, 13:06. Kirubel Arasa with a personal best. Bias Mbasa with a personal best. Ollie Hoare with the best. Sydney Gidabude, a personal best. Robert Brandt, a personal best.
Everybody's got it. 5 men under the Olympic standard, 5 women under the Olympic standard tonight. Grant Fisher finally figures it out, hands Mad Marc Scott his first defeat of the season here in the Brickyard tonight.